You are drowning, not in poverty, but in abundance. Look around you. Closets filled with clothes you never wear. Shelves lined with books you never read. Digital carts stuffed with things you do not need. And still you feel restless. Still you feel unsatisfied. Still you are thirsty. The truth is simple. You are not consuming possessions. They are consuming you. The Stoics warned us long ago. Excess is a chain disguised as freedom. Every item you own whispers for your time, your money, your energy. That car you bought, it demands fuel, insurance, repairs. That house you dreamed of, it asks for cleaning, maintenance, endless bills. That phone you cradle in your hand, it steals your hours with every ping. Each possession owns a piece of your soul. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Think about that. Poverty is not measured by the size of your house or the balance in your account. Poverty is measured by the size of your craving. If you are always wanting, you are always poor. If you are content with little, you are rich beyond measure. Let me ask you, how many hours of your life have you traded away for things that no longer bring you joy? How many late nights at work? How many moments missed with family? How many years spent chasing what you thought would make you happy, only to discover it was hollow? The clothes are forgotten, the gadgets outdated, the trophies gathering dust. You did not own them. They owned you. The Stoics compared excess desire to drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. You think one more purchase will satisfy you, one more promotion, one more recognition. But the moment you grasp it, the thirst grows stronger. You are trapped in a cycle of hunger that never ends. Picture this. A man sits in a grand house, every wall lined with treasures, every corner filled with gold. Yet his heart beats restless. His eyes search for what is missing. He is not free. He is chained by craving. Now picture another man, sitting under a tree with nothing but bread, water, and the calm of his thoughts. His heart is steady. His eyes are at peace. He is free. Which man is truly rich? Excess is heavy. It weighs down your body, your mind, your spirit. It clutters not only your home but your heart. And every time you add to it, you think you are building comfort, but you are building a cage. The Stoic Path is the art of breaking free from that cage, the art of cutting away what is unnecessary, until only freedom remains. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, how much of what surrounds me is truly mine? How much of it actually brings me peace? If tomorrow it all disappeared, what would I truly miss? The answer to that question will show you the difference between weight and wealth. The truth is simple. The more you need, the less you are free. The less you need, the more you are alive. Simplicity is not poverty. Simplicity is power. When you no longer crave, no one can control you. When you no longer cling, nothing can enslave you. This was the lesson of the Stoics, that true wealth is not measured in possessions but in independence from them. Seneca said, "The man who has adapted himself to simple living and who feels no need of wealth is truly rich." Imagine the paradox. A man with few belongings is seen by the world as poor, yet if his heart desires nothing more, he is wealthier than the richest king, for the king must still guard his gold. He must still fear its loss. But the man who needs nothing has nothing to fear. History gives us a striking story. Diogenes, though not technically a Stoic, but a philosopher admired by them, lived in a barrel with almost nothing. One day, Alexander the Great, the ruler of the known world, came to visit him. Standing tall in his royal glory, Alexander asked, "Is there anything I can give you?" Diogenes, sitting in the sun, replied, "Yes, stand out of my light." In that instant, the conqueror of nations realized he could not conquer the man who needed nothing. Think about the power in that moment. The wealthiest, most powerful man on earth was powerless before a beggar because the beggar was free. What can you take from a man who has nothing to lose? How do you bribe a man who desires nothing? How do you conquer a man who refuses to crave? That is simplicity. That is power. Now bring it to your own life. How many choices do you make out of fear of loss? How often do you compromise your peace because you worry about possessions? How often do you feel trapped because you cannot let go? Simplicity breaks those chains. The less you need, the freer you are to live by your values, not by your cravings. In modern life, simplicity might mean different things. It might mean cutting away the endless chase for luxury. It might mean saying no to another credit card. It might mean choosing time with your family over another hour at work. It might mean deleting the noise from your phone. Simplicity is not about having nothing. It is about needing less. And when you need less, the world loses its grip on you. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped chasing more? If you stopped comparing with others? If you measured your worth not by what you own, but by what you can live without? Would you still be afraid? Would you still feel poor? Or would you finally feel free? The Stoic Path is not about deprivation. It is about liberation. It is about stepping out of the prison of craving and into the light of contentment. Simplicity is not emptiness. Simplicity is space. Space for peace. Space for love. Space for what truly matters. Remember this: the man who craves nothing cannot be broken. The man who is content with little holds the greatest power of all, the power to live free. There are stories that live through centuries because they strike at the heart of human truth. One such story is of Diogenes, the philosopher who owned almost nothing. He lived in the streets of Athens, and some say he slept in a barrel. To most, he was poor. To him, he was free. He mocked the vanity of society, laughed at the hunger for wealth, and stripped life down to what was necessary. He proved by living that you need far less than you think. The most famous moment came when Alexander the Great, the conqueror of nations, approached him. Imagine the scene. The emperor of the world, surrounded by soldiers and glory, towering over a man who had no bed, no gold, no possessions. Alexander, perhaps amused, perhaps respectful, asked, "Is there anything I can give you?" Diogenes looked up, squinting at the sun, and said, "Yes, step out of my light." That was all. Think of the power in those words. The man who had conquered nations was powerless before a man who needed nothing. No bribe could tempt him. No threat could frighten him. No gift could move him. Diogenes had already stripped life down to its essence. Bread, water, sunlight, thought. He was free, and in that freedom he was untouchable. Now ask yourself, what would it take for you to feel untouchable? What would you have to release in order to be unbribable? What could you let go of so that no one could ever use it to control you? How many chains are hidden in the things you cling to? The Stoics admired Diogenes because he proved the ultimate truth, that simplicity is not weakness, but strength. By needing little, you are invincible. What can be taken from a man who has already let go? What can be stolen from a man who has nothing to guard? What can be shaken in a man whose peace rests not on possessions, but on the state of his mind? Now bring this story to the present. Our Alexanders are not emperors with armies. They are advertisers with algorithms. They approach us daily, promising happiness if only we buy, if only we upgrade, if only we consume. They say, here is the next thing you need. And like Alexander, they offer gifts. But unlike Diogenes, most of us say yes. Yes to another purchase, yes to another chain, yes to another weight on our backs. What if you answered like Diogenes? What if you said, I need nothing. You are blocking my light. Imagine the freedom. The light would be your own clarity, your own peace, your own time. And no one could sell it to you, because it is already yours. The story of Diogenes is more than a tale from history. It is a mirror. It asks you to see yourself as Alexander or as Diogenes. Do you stand heavy with treasures, still searching for more? Or do you sit in the sunlight, rich with simplicity? The answer determines the quality of your life. Remember, the man who has the least needs is the man who has the most power. Fast forward to today. We no longer live in ancient Athens or the courts of Rome, but the chaos of excess has only grown louder. We live in a storm of distraction, a flood of possessions, a constant hunger for more. Our barrels are not wooden. They glow in our hands. They light up our walls. They fill our pockets and our screens. Social media feeds never end. Ads whisper to us every second. New gadgets promise fulfillment. Bigger houses, faster cars, endless upgrades. We live not in scarcity, but in saturation. And yet, we are more restless than ever. We cannot sit still. We cannot breathe without the itch for more. We are drowning in abundance, gasping for air. Ask yourself, how many times have you told yourself, if I just had this, then I would be happy. If I just reach this promotion, if I just buy this item. But then it comes and almost immediately the hunger shifts to something else. You are not chasing happiness. You are chasing smoke. The Stoics would look at our modern world and shake their heads. They would not marvel at our wealth. They would pity our slavery. Epictetus would remind us, freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it. He would ask, are you master of your phone, or is your phone master of you? Are you the owner of your possessions, or are they your owners? Look at your life right now. How much of your time is spent caring for things that do not matter? How much of your energy is consumed by maintaining what you thought would bring peace? How many relationships are neglected because you are too busy chasing more? You may think you are rich, but if your soul is restless, you are still poor. There is a story of a man named David who spent decades building his fortune. He owned a mansion, drove the most expensive cars, and wore the finest clothes. To the world, he looked successful. But in private, he admitted he was empty. His possessions filled his house, but not his heart. Only when his company collapsed, and he lost much of what he owned, did he discover something shocking. He said, for the first time in years, I feel light, I feel free. In losing everything, he gained back his soul. The chaos of modern life will always tempt you. It will always call for more. But the Stoic Path whispers differently. It says, step back, cut away, choose less. And in needing less, you will finally see clearly. Imagine your home stripped to what you truly value. Imagine your time freed from endless distractions. Imagine your mind quiet because it no longer chases every new desire. That is not emptiness. That is clarity. That is peace. The chaos is loud, but your soul longs for silence. The world is heavy, but your heart longs to be light. The art of simplicity is the art of escaping modern chaos. It is the art of remembering that you already have enough. Simplicity is not emptiness. Simplicity is clarity. When you cut away the clutter, what remains is the essence of life, sharp and pure. The Stoics knew this. They saw that possessions could cloud the mind, noise could drown the soul, and endless craving could hide what matters most. To them, less was not a loss, less was beauty. Picture a room filled with noise, objects stacked upon objects, colors clashing, chaos everywhere. Your eyes dart, your mind spins, and your heart feels heavy. Now picture the same room stripped down to only what is necessary. A chair, a table, a light shining through the window. Suddenly you can breathe, you can think, you can see. That is the beauty of less. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has little, but the man who longs for more, who is poor." He was reminding us that true richness is measured not by abundance, but by sufficiency. When you live with less, you notice more. You notice the sound of your child's laughter. You notice the warmth of sunlight on your skin. You notice the taste of bread when you are hungry, the sweetness of water when you are thirsty. These small things overlooked in excess become treasures in simplicity. Ask yourself, how often do you miss the beauty around you because your mind is chasing what is next? How often do you fail to taste the food on your plate because your eyes are on your phone? How often do you ignore the people in front of you, Because you are distracted by possessions that promise joy, but delivered emptiness. Simplicity clears the fog. It brings you back to the present, where beauty has always been waiting. There is a story of a woman named Claire. She lived in a house overflowing with things. Clothes she never wore, decorations that collected dust, boxes of items she could not even name. Her mind mirrored her home, cluttered, restless, overwhelmed. One day she decided to strip it all away. She sold, donated, and discarded until her home was bare compared to before. At first, the emptiness felt strange. But then she said something powerful. For the first time in my life, my home feels alive. The walls breathe. The air moves. I can hear myself think. By needing less, she discovered more. The beauty of less is not about denying yourself joy. It is about clearing space for joy to breathe. Too much noise drowns out music. Too many words bury meaning. Too many possessions smother gratitude. The Stoics believed that the simple life is the joyful life, because it clears away distractions that blind you to what matters. Think of a garden. If weeds are allowed to grow wild, they choke the flowers. The weeds are excess, endless desires, unnecessary possessions. The flowers are love, peace, wisdom, gratitude. If you cut the weeds, the flowers bloom. If you cut the excess, your soul blooms. Ask yourself, what weeds in your life are choking your peace? What clutter hides the beauty already present? What could you remove today to make space for clarity? Simplicity reveals beauty not by adding but by subtracting, not by filling but by emptying, and in that space you discover that you already had enough. The Stoic Path is not just philosophy to admire. It is a practice to live. Simplicity is not an idea for books. It is an action for daily life. The art of needing less must be trained like a muscle, through choices made each day. First, begin with your possessions. Walk through your home and ask of every item, does this serve me or do I serve it? If it serves you, keep it. If you serve it, let it go. Clothes you do not wear, gadgets you do not use, decorations that collect dust, release them. You will feel lighter with every step. Second, look at your time. Your calendar is also cluttered. Endless meetings, constant obligations, distractions disguised as duties. Ask, does this bring me closer to peace, or does it drag me into chaos? Say no to what is unnecessary. Guard your time as a treasure, for time, unlike possessions, can never be replaced. Third, examine your mind. The greatest clutter is not in your house, but in your head. Worries about the future, regrets about the past, endless comparisons to others. The Stoics trained their minds daily to strip away what was unnecessary. They reminded themselves, I cannot control the future, I cannot change the past, I cannot live another person's life. All I have is now, and now is enough. Consider a practice from Marcus Aurelius. Each morning he reminded himself that the day would bring rude, ungrateful, and arrogant people. He did this not to complain, but to prepare. He simplified his expectations, so he was never surprised. By lowering his craving for others to be perfect, he freed himself from disappointment. This, too, is simplicity. You can practice the same. Expect less from the world, and you will suffer less. Demand less from life, and you will enjoy more. The art of needing less is the art of aligning with reality instead of fighting it. There is a man named Joseph who practiced this. He began by living with fewer possessions, but soon he discovered the real change came in his mind. He said, I stopped expecting life to always go my way. I stopped demanding constant comfort. I began to need less, and suddenly everything felt like a gift. What once seemed ordinary became extraordinary. A walk, a meal, a conversation. I stopped craving, and I started living. Ask yourself, what would change if you needed less today? If you needed less comfort, less approval, less status? Would you still fear losing so much? Would you still feel anxious? Or would you finally breathe? Simplicity in practice is not deprivation. It is liberation. It is choosing to live light, to walk free, to stop carrying the burden of unnecessary wants. Every step you take toward needing less is a step toward peace. The Stoics challenge us to practice this daily. Cut away what is not essential. Focus on what is. Live with gratitude. Need less. Live more. Wealth, the Stoics taught, is not the abundance of possessions, but the absence of wants. Epictetus said it clearly. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This truth is simple, yet difficult to practice. For the world around us is built to inflame desire. Advertisements whisper that you are incomplete. Social media shouts that others are ahead of you. The culture insists that more is always better. Against this storm, contentment is not natural, it is trained. Contentment is a muscle. Like the body in the gym, it grows stronger only when you exercise it daily. How do you train contentment? You begin with gratitude. Gratitude is the discipline of noticing what you already have and refusing to let desire blind you to its value. Each morning, pause and name 3 things you already possess that once you longed for. Perhaps it is the roof over your head, which once you dreamed of having. Perhaps it is the work you do, which once you prayed to find. Perhaps it is the people who surround you, who once you feared to lose. These are treasures, yet so often we rush past them, hungry for what is missing. Gratitude anchors us to enough. Ask yourself, how many times have you ignored what you already have because your eyes were fixed on what you lack? How many meals have you eaten without tasting? How many conversations have you rushed without listening? How many days have passed without noticing the gift of simply waking up? The art of contentment is the art of slowing down to see. There is a story of a young man named Peter who spent years chasing wealth. He built a career, bought a luxury car, and filled his home with the finest furniture. Yet his heart was restless. One evening, his grandfather, who lived simply in a small cottage, invited him to dinner. The meal was nothing special, just bread, soup, and water. Yet as they ate, the grandfather closed his eyes and said, "This is enough. This bread is enough. This water is enough. This moment is enough." Peter watched him, confused. Later, he realized that his grandfather had more wealth in that moment of gratitude than Peter had in all his possessions. Contentment is not natural in a world of craving. It must be trained. The Stoics practiced negative visualization. They would imagine losing what they cherished, not to create fear, but to create gratitude. By imagining life without it, they valued it more deeply. Imagine losing your health, and you will value your body today. Imagine losing your loved ones, and you will treasure them now. Imagine losing your freedom, and you will savor every breath of liberty. This practice is powerful. It teaches you that life is already overflowing with gifts, that joy does not come from needing more, but from noticing more. The discipline of contentment is not easy. It requires daily effort, but with time, the muscle grows. Your cravings weaken, your gratitude deepens, and your soul finds rest. Ask yourself now, if I lost everything I am chasing, what would I still have? If I never gained another possession, could I still be rich in gratitude? The answer to those questions is the measure of your wealth. The Stoics remind us, to train contentment is to train freedom, for the man who wants nothing cannot be enslaved. At the end of the search for simplicity lies a surprising discovery, that wealth is not measured by what you own, but by what you can live without. The world tells us that to be rich is to have more. The Stoics tell us that to be rich is to need less. Which one will you believe? Think of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. Surrounded by palaces, treasures, and armies, he still wrote to himself in his journal, "Remember, your true riches are your thoughts, your character, your virtue." He ruled an empire, Yet he warned himself daily not to be ruled by desire. He knew that possessions fade, power shifts, fame dies, but character endures. Now think of your own life. Imagine stripping away the cars, the houses, the devices, the decorations. What remains? If you removed all that, would you still stand tall? Would you still feel rich? Or would you feel empty? Your answer reveals where your true wealth lies. There is a story of Maria, a woman who lost her home in a fire. Everything she owned burned in a single night. Her clothes, her books, her furniture, her photos. When people came to comfort her, expecting despair, she surprised them. She said, "I lost my house, but I did not lose my mind. I lost my belongings, but I did not lose my family. I lost my possessions, but I did not lose my ability to live. I am still rich." In that moment, she was freer than most who still clung to their possessions in fear. True wealth is this: to carry within you something that cannot be taken: wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. These are treasures no thief can steal, no fire can burn, no time can decay. To build your wealth here is to build on rock, not sand. Ask yourself, where is your treasure? Is it in the bank, where markets can collapse? Is it in your house, where fire can consume? Is it in your reputation, where gossip can destroy? Or is it in your mind, your soul, your character, where no one can touch it? The Stoics remind us that when you need little, you are untouchable. If you can be content with bread, water, and sunlight, then every luxury is a bonus, not a necessity. You will live light. You will walk free. You will carry wealth that no one can strip away. The world measures wealth by numbers. The Stoics measure wealth by freedom. Freedom from craving, freedom from fear, freedom from chains of desire. To live this way is to live rich, not because of what you own, but because of what you no longer need. So pause now. Ask yourself, what can I release? What can I live without? What weight can I lay down? In that release lies your treasure. In that simplicity lies your wealth. The world will never stop shouting at you. More success, more possessions, more recognition. It will tell you that your worth is measured by what you own, that happiness is bought, that peace is earned only by chasing harder. But the Stoic Path whispers differently. It says, need less. For in needing less, you discover that you already have enough. Simplicity is not loss, it is liberation. It is the art of walking lightly in a heavy world. The art of carrying nothing but peace in a restless age. The art of looking at your life stripped bare and saying with a steady heart, this is enough. Imagine the freedom of a life where nothing owns you. Imagine the power of standing untouchable before a world that can take possessions but cannot take your soul. Imagine the lightness of walking each day unburdened by endless craving. This is not fantasy. This is the Stoic Path. Remember the lesson of Diogenes, who needed nothing and could not be conquered. Remember the wisdom of Seneca, who warned that the man who craves more is always poor. Remember the courage of Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire yet reminded himself daily to live simply. And remember your own truth, that peace is not found in adding more, but in needing less. So, step back from the noise. Cut away what does not matter. Choose less, and in doing so, you will gain more than the world can give. You will gain freedom. You will gain clarity. You will gain yourself. This is the art of simplicity. This is the power of needing less. And this, above all, is the Stoic Path.